Hey everybody, welcome. Another episode of CodeRushed. Rory, say hello.
Hello. Hi. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. That's our neurotypical check-in. I think we just
Yeah.
completed that. Nice job, everyone. Let's go to, let's jump in right into the middle of what I'm doing here. We'll come over here and bring up the screen so you can see that. Right up here, we are actually in the middle of, I'm making some configuration changes over here. I wanted to be able to move this Twitch singleton class into bot core so I could use it easily from both Mr. Announcer bot and from the overlay manager. Having a little bit of trouble doing that. Let me just run it right here and see if we managed to fix it. No, we're still getting this object preference not set to an instance of an object. And I think
so the OAuth token itself is null.
Yeah.
At the moment, which means something about the Twitch configuration being called then is not managing to get back that token.
Yeah.
At least this early in the process.
It's not liking this. This used to be over here at a higher level, and it's no longer there. So I have essentially two choices. I either back out my changes to get this thing running so we can work on the polling that we were talking about doing, or I try to push forward with this to try to resolve this particular error on initialized connections.
All right. Well, I've got a quick question then. Twitch.configuration, is that very similar to app settings from sort of a standard .NET console application? So it's trying to retrieve that from some file someplace, or is that going and getting data from somewhere entirely different?
It's been a while since I've done this. I thought it was a property of this thing right here.
Because if you've moved the code into a lower level, a lower DLL, then is it possible it's just simply not finding the settings file?
Well, it's this iConfiguration root piece right here is kind of where it is right here. And so it's, let me just see this, what's going on here, where it's referenced. It's not assigned anywhere that I can see. What about this one? It's right here in the static. So the build is called here.
Okay, so there's a static constructor there which creates a builder, which is then takes a build and assigns that to configuration, which is then the thing we're reading later on. Okay.
Yeah, that's that piece.
So that will definitely have happened. It's adding a JSON file. It's getting current directory. So that's current directory for the running application. So in this case, we're doing, is it Mr. Announcer bot or is it the overlay manager?
That's a really good question. Where's the where are you looking at the current directory piece on that? Where's that? Oh, right here.
Just there in the static, constructor. So
okay, so that may be the problem, is that because I moved it, what I really need to do, it looks like now, great, I've clicked on it, it opened it, I got to go change all of my stuff. Great. Paste it in here. And then we'll also paste it in over here. Maybe that's my problem.
I figure it might have already been in one of those locations, but maybe not in both. Because something was running previous to this and was working using it. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, it was in Overlay Manager, but I removed it from there. Is what I did.
See.
Oh, so we think it's in the other one too? I'm going to have to change all of those. All right.
Well, I'm thinking the current directory is the current running application. So that would be wherever Mr. Announcerbot exe gets placed, and wherever the overlay manager DLL, I think it would be for an ASP.NET application. So wherever they end up,
so
they will each need a copy of this.
Yeah, I may need to set the properties on these. It's probably not enough to simply copy them there, because I doubt that their build properties came across. Yeah, same problem here. So let's go in and look at that bot core. And also, I'm totally bracing for impact for someone to take over the bot here midway through. Great. Okay, so let's see here. What are we doing here? We want to come here. We want to see properties, and it says copy output directory. It did take them, so it's going to copy the output for right there. Well, let's see what's going on. App settings JSON. Let's see here. Those are all my lovely secrets. I'm going to have to just reset all the way across. I want to just compare to see if the overlay manager's same file was missing something maybe. And if that's why we're having the problem. That's why we're having the problem, I think. So the overlay file is missing those same pieces. So let's take all of those. We'll move them across over there, and then we'll decide if we keep going until somebody hijacks the bot. Then I'll reset the all the auth tokens and
Okay.
get them back. Let's see if that works. That looks like that maybe worked.
That's better.
Let's come in here. Mr. Announcebot says he's in. The test for this that I had set up is if I type in quiz, there we go. Mr. Announcebot starting quiz. So that worked. It also drops a B right there. Okay, excellent. So we're going to keep running till someone hijacks our announcer bot. Wouldn't that
there you go, chat room. That's your challenge.
That's your challenge. We're timing you right now. Realize if you do, though, it's going to come. Fun is going to come to a grinding halt. We're going to have to go get some new tokens, and or we'll shut it down. And I'll say good. It was a good run while it lasted.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a bumblebee in there, and it's bouncing around. So 2 days ago, I was like, "Hey guys, want to be fun? You can be your own bumblebee. Really exciting." Right, look at that baby. Isn't that fun and exciting? And you fly all over, and the chat room resoundingly was like, no, I don't want to be a bumblebee. I don't want to watch a
definitely had something along the lines of, I don't know, insect phobia, or can I be something more pleasant?
Right.
Birds and drones were suggested at one point.
Yep, that's right. So I was like, all right, cool. But the most important suggestion in there, I think, came from Will Bennett, which is like, hey, if you had polling, you could put out a poll right now, and that's what I want to do. I want to put out a poll because I've also created drones. Let's see. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I know what the drone. The drone one is. Hold on a second. The drone is.
Cycle through all the animations. Oh, there we go.
These are the drones.
They're not bad.
They're not bad. So those are my drones. They're not flying the way they should be yet. They're just picking a random piece out, just like with
alpha
the bees.
Drones.
But those are the alpha drones. And the idea is that the alpha drones or the eventual drones will have your name next to them, so you can fly around independently if you want to of the rocket, and maybe do things like collect coins or drop little mini bombs or whatever. So that's kind of the idea. We're kind of playing. It's kind of a sandbox right now. And that's what it is. So that's it. So what's interesting and kind of cool is the, hold on a second. No, actually there's two things that are interesting. So this we're able to totally control, which is cool. But I'm noticing the actual stream doesn't have the overlay on top of it.
That's true.
And I'm going to just double check in here, go into the properties for it. I'm going to go in and do a refresh on it and see if that fixes it. Refresh cache of current page. It looks like that maybe fix it. So that means that I can take this.
Oh, coins vanished again.
Close it down. Yeah, some vanish and then come back, but now it seems to be there. So now if in the chat room we type in launch, we should be able to control actually both. The one. Awesome! Yeah. Like type in drop right now. I'll do it. Drop. And notice it's dropping from both this guy and this guy. I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to keep this one running right here. When I said this guy and this guy, I meant that guy right there and this guy.
We've got the overlay and we've got the web browser.
Right. I'm going to keep this running because that's keeping Visual Studio running in the background, which is I'm pretty sure I'm going to need that to make all this work. We can. Oh, do I have two of these now? What's going on? Why does it look like I have two?
That's a good point. You do appear to have a second one. What happens if we launch again?
I heard it, but I didn't see it launch. Let's come back over to my main. Oh, it looks like maybe that was a mistake on whatever one on the awesome. I think we were.
It's just faded again. It's just disappeared.
Is that what we were on? Awesome! Yes, let's look at awesome. What's going on with awesome? Let me turn off the overlay bot on awesome. Awesome's got it's probably got the CodeRushed logo right up here in the upper left. That's all. It just had that. So I'm going to turn off the CodeRushed logo.
Okay.
And overlay, but looks like it's not lined up. There, now it's lined up. Okay, cool. So that
We've
looks
got
like
a chat message suggesting the audio is maybe not as great as it could be. Can I just ask the chat room, is that audio as in clicks and lag, or is that with particular vocals? So can you hear Mark correctly, or is it my audio? Can we get a little bit clarification on what may be wrong?
I'm hearing lots of clicks and a little lag is what's happening. It's only with Mark. That's making me sad. Let's see what my stream upload rate. It seems like it's good. My stream health is good. Are we still having audio problems?
Mark has a cold. Yeah, so this is interesting. I noted before we actually started the stream that Mark was coming across to me, certainly with a very much deeper voice than would be normal. I don't think he's got a cold, but I just sort of left it there. And I'm getting from that comment that maybe, Mark, your audio is also, deep and going out on the stream like that, which is, let me see if we can get a sample of that myself.
That's a great thing. I will start talking and listen to it myself, and we'll see what we've got coming out here. Hold on a second. Oh, yeah. It's definitely deeper. Yeah, I think the problem is with my H6. Let me try this. I'm going to try restarting my H6 and see if that helps. So I'm going to go silent for about a minute or maybe 30 seconds while I do this. All right, so I'm back. Roy, can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's on what I would normally think of as your other less good microphone, which is severely underwater and echoey.
Okay, let me fix that.
But you know what? I can cope with that as long as everyone else can hear you. That's not a problem for me.
All right, hold on 1 second here, because it's actually, I think I'm dealing with a Skype issue here. Let's go back.
That is suddenly clearer.
And now how's this? Can you hear me here?
And that's a bit foggy.
This is foggy now.
For me, yeah.
And it's probably foggy for everybody else, true too, because
I'm getting mixed response from the chat room here. So Will Bennett says better, and some MJ Eaton says better but a bit low. Will then suggests it's normal. Then apparently the volume is quite low.
And
yeah, I'm having trouble with that name too.
Aluminium says I can't hear him at all. Voice is normal, but volume is low. Yeah.
I'm going to say that right now for me, you've got the best clarity you've had. It is slightly low volume-wise, but it's no longer low as in deep, which is good. So maybe we're reaching a decent output.
Let me go into my properties for my headset mic right here. Let's do a test here, see what you like. Now, if we had polling ready, we could do it right now. But,
you could. That would be good, eh?
I'm going to switch microphone here. I'm going to go to my real here. So this is right in the computer. Check. So what are your thoughts on that?
Change for me.
I hear a yuck. Yeah, you're not going to hear any changes. It's only going to come out.
Okay, so this is just for the chat room's benefit from the stream.
Here's my webcam mic.
They're not liking that.
Just switched over to my webcam mic. Let's hear that. Just switched over to my webcam mic. That's not bad. All right, so we'll use the webcam mic for now. All right, so we'll use the webcam mic for now.
Rockin'.
And let me turn off from that so we don't hear that anymore. So better, and we're good. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to create a polling system, essentially,
yes.
So that we can live ask questions of the folks in the chat room.
Feedback.
Now, what I want to do is I want to put that live polling, I think, over the Solution Explorer. That's the area that I think I want to put that. And I think what I also want to do, at first I was thinking we would have a bar chart where the bars grow up vertically as we're determining a winner. But the problem with that is that text tends to go left to right, and the aspect ratio of text that's really long is like this, right? it's, you know, text doesn't go like this when it gets really long. And so if it goes really long like that, it makes more sense to have the bars also have a similar aspect ratio, so that we can have an option that has several words in it, for example, or maybe even a sentence. So that's the thought and the design that I've done so far. I've also over in Mr. Announcer Bot, which just occurred to me. Should I do this yet? Maybe I'm not. I'm going to, I just realized I've not checked in the code for this, and I feel like I'm somewhat obligated to do that. Let's see what we can do here on that.
Well, now that the code is working a bit better as well, because obviously that was that little bit of configuration snafu that we had at the start. So you know, it's probably a good line in the sand to draw.
Yeah.
For people.
So let's do this. Let's stage all of those. Let's just double check all of those that I've got that I want to do there. Yes, looks good. Let's stage all of those. Episode 32. I think that's our episode number for today. And commit those changes. And then we're going to add a tag to that and put that out there so everybody's got this code. And I guess in fairness, the reason I didn't check it in is because I didn't have working code. And we were just solving that last minute. All right, so let's add that tag. And I think I pushed that out there, which means if we open up over here.
There it is.
Here, I want to dock this guy so it doesn't make any more noise. And there's episode 32 begin. So that's the source for today on that. And if I did a good job, I didn't just also check in all my secrets. Wouldn't that be awesome? And well,
you're going to have to change those anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to have to change all those anyway.
OCR the stuff straight off the screen.
I know. Well, that's the smart way to do it. All right, so I always imagine somebody going like, you know, typing H1 and they, you know, they deserve to hack it if they go through that effort. All right, so what do I have? I have, what did I want to show here? I've got CodeRushed Hub. So Brendan and Eric helped us out to build the hub, which allows us to talk back and forth. And I added a couple of functions to it, one called chat and one called whisper. And so from our JavaScript, we can call chat and whisper to talk back. And in my main, I've added, well, I've also done this, also made changes in background worker. In background worker, I added commands to put up a quiz, to clear the quiz results, and then to take answers for which option you want to pick, 1 through 9. And so I've added those. I've also, related to this, I've added a command called B, which drops a B, and a command called drone, which drops a drone. And I have moverel, and an abbreviation for that, MR, to move relative, based in either B coordinates or drone coordinates. And also move abs, which would take some percentage of the screen, or maybe some pixels or something like that. So either way. So that's what I've added those things. None of these are really functional. B drops a B, drone drops a drone, but they're not really functional. They're just dropping and bouncing around.
You're getting your structural stuff in place is all.
Exactly. Quiz, however, what it does is it drops a B right now. There it is, release B. But it also calls chat, which is a local function. But if we jump in there, it calls connection.invoke. And there's the function we want to call, passing in message. So that's how we make that call back over to here into chat. Okay. And the work you saw me doing at the beginning was to take that singleton twitch and put it out in bot core. That's the change I did right there.
Sure.
So that we could use it easily, chat from anywhere. That's what we want to do. Okay. Well, then it says, might we want to separate those into different workers, interfaces, and hubs? Right now, I'm totally comfortable with where we are. I think you're talking about taking this and maybe moving this out here, or alternatively, maybe you're talking about the worker here that's going to control the drones versus the other pieces. Yeah, you know, I really hadn't thought about that. I tend to consider this kind of code is not code that it's not the code that first occurs to me as the code what I want to do, that I want to refactor. Usually if I see duplicate stuff, I'm all over refactoring that. If I see a class that does too many things, I'm all over that.
But here, I've always kind of made exceptions in these cases, things that are kind of directly connected to the UI, because I always think, well, it's UI-related functionality, right? When I say UI, this is what you're typing in the chat room to control it. That said, we do have a separate Mr. Announcer bot, and we have a separate overlay manager. So the overlay manager is handling commands that have to do with controlling what's on the overlay, and the Mr. Announcer bot is essentially scene selection, so that we can type in things like awesome. I think it's bang AWE, like awesome. That, and we switch scenes to a pre-rendered awesome that comes up on screen. So we have some separation of responsibilities. However, as always, Will Bennett says something and it sits in my mind, and then generally the next show we're doing it. So
I'd say I'm thinking about what he's saying there. I tend to agree. Perhaps it's just the idea that this switch statement has got onto like an entire screen's worth of cases, and possibly the ones that refer to the game, the movement, and the rockets and stuff, that's sort of one section. And now that we're making a series of commands that are to do with the poll, maybe that's a second alternative one.
I think you're right.
That's sort of case-based stuff.
I think you're right, but I'm not going to do it now because I'm live streaming. And if I stop this, in the past, I've had my lessons I've learned is I can't start it back up without stopping the stream and restarting it.
So our response is, good point, Will. We'll get to it later.
We'll get to it later. The other reason, here's the other justification for this, why it really makes a lot of sense. Because I've got things in here that handle the drones, that move the rocket, that launch the rocket, that drop meteors, and that do quizzes, and the class is called background worker. Right?
Sure.
I've got a generically named class. It makes a lot more sense to divide these up. Yes, we're going to do this either tomorrow or I'll do it in my spare time. It's a good suggestion, Will. Thanks for pointing that out. Sometimes you just don't see these things, right? It's like I've noticed this about myself. Sometimes I find I spot the things nobody else can see, and I miss the totally obvious right in front of me.
Well, sometimes it's very hard when you're right next to the problem, spending so much time with it. A fresh perspective is always good. You kind of call people across and say, listen, what do you think I should do here?
Yeah.
And then they point something out which, you think is kind of obvious, but you're so close to the problem, it's a little bit hard to see sometimes.
Yeah, and so that's what, but we can modify the TypeScript and refresh it. That we've not had a problem with doing. So we can do that live without stopping the stream. So I guess the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stop dropping this B. Because that was my first test to see that it was working. I'm going to comment that out, and let's see is it just, I don't think saving is going to work. So right now I think it'll drop the B if I type in bang quiz like this. Yep, there it drops the B. And it comes back with starting quiz. In fact, I think I have two of them coming back, which is because this one's running, this one right here is running, and then I have the other one running wherever that thing is. But if I refresh now, by the way, so let's refresh this. I'm going to refresh by switching the scene to this one over here. That refreshes it. Back over here. Oh, interesting. SQL Mr. Magoo makes an observation. I think this is really true. He says it's also easier to say, you should do this, than it is to say, I should do this, especially via chat. Yeah, I think that's true. I have voices in my head that are like, they're tiny. They start off tiny. They're like declare a method, refactor this, extract. And as soon as I notice the voice, in the past I used to just ignore, and the voice would get stronger. And I realized a truth about me is that those voices always get stronger. There's never a time where a little voice that says, hey, you should do something, comes back and says, I didn't know what I was thinking about. That never, ever happens to me. So
the voices are very confident in their opinions.
Yeah. So for me, the key is listen to the voices when they're tiny, and or have Will Bennett in the chat room. Those are apparently the keys. So now I've made a change here. Now if I type in quiz, we should see no B's drop from this one right here, but we should see it come back, I think twice, saying starting the quiz. There it is right there, and no B's dropped. Yeah. So I feel good about that. That's great. So that proves we're able to make changes. So now I want to start the quiz. So to do that, I'm going to need a class to hold that, to the quiz or the poll or the survey, whatever we're going to call that thing. So let's go into my TypeScript here. I think the fastest way to get a new class is to just like copy this, paste it in, and then said that's the fastest. Why is my paste taking so long? That took a long time. And then come and make a change to the name. Really, I'm clicking it. Give me a rename. Come on, Visual Studio.
Oh, just because you're running.
Oh.
Can you F2 and just cheat?
I don't think so. Can I delete? I can't even delete it. I can paste it, but I can't. Okay, so we're going to create a class here, but we're going to have to rename this class later after we, that's a little crazy to me that it just let me do this. So we need a class, and the class is going to hold the quiz, I think is what it's going to do. I think the class is going to have a class.
Like an array of options that are going to store quantities of people who voted for them and stuff like that.
We're going to figure out what it's going to hold. I don't know exactly what it's going to hold yet, but we're going to we'll figure that out. So let's figure. I'm just going to build this a piece at a time, and this is kind of how I write code. SQL Mr. Magoo was talking about the voices in the head, and he says unless your voices are idiots like mine. Yeah, I wouldn't rush to judgment on that, Mr. Magoo. You've provided some pretty killer advice in the past, and I used to run for years saying that they were all, idiots. Well, mainly because they would be yelling at each other, right? There would be some voices saying declare method, and others would be like, burn the house down, and I would be like, I don't know which to do, right? I'm not sure which one.
I like Will Bennett's comment. The thing with coding is that you're always going to pay the price in time, but earlier the price is small, whereas later the price is large, and of course the frustration is with it.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. It is so much easier to. It's like stopping an asteroid from hitting Earth. It's the same kind of thing.
Of course, you can get burned with premature optimization as well, just doing every tiny thing early and then suddenly deleting the whole thing that you were just talking about. So there's a certain amount of research. It's finding a balance, really.
Okay. That's why Roy's here, because I'm like, ah, and Roy's like, hey. So,
it's good.
Yeah. SQL Mr. Magoo says, mine are right every time, voices in his head, even when they disagree. I believe that to be absolutely true. In fact, I've had conversations with my kids where they're absolutely arguing with each other, and I'm like, well, you're both clearly right. And they're like, what? And from your perspectives, you're both clearly right. Okay, so we need a draw call, and I forget what that context is, so I'm going to go find a draw call somewhere else.
It's a sort of context 2D something.
I thought I had it in Rocket. I thought I put it over in Rocket. Let's see, open up Rocket. I'm like feeling like totally bound and handicapped by Visual Studio, by the way, that it lets me paste it in, but it doesn't let me rename it. That makes me a little sad. Okay, so let's see here. This isn't going to work anyway to put in here because we need to reference, we need to change the HTML, which we can't. So we have to put this class anywhere. We can't put it here. We're going to put this out in somewhere else. I'm going to throw it in main for now, and we'll move it out later. Okay, so I think I've got a context typed in here. Let's see if we can find that. It's my contacts. Let's look for context equals. Really? There's no my context equals?
How about a context colon? Because of previously
right.
Type.
There it is.
Canvas rendering 2D context 2D.
Perfect. That's what I wanted to get. Okay. And then we can do that. And so I'm going to have a draw method, and the draw function is going to draw it out. And I think what I want to also do is let's just do a screenshot of this right now. Do I have a paint program up and running? I do not. Let's start one up. And I just want to get the upper left coordinates of this and the dimensions of it so I know where to draw. So we just make note of those things right now. So I'm just going to move the caret, just grab the selection box right here. And in the bottom left, it's going to show me, it says it's at 1410 and 110 is probably what we'll round those off to. So we'll say 1410 and 110. Those are the top left coordinates, and let's just select that. This is going to give us a rough number, and we'll come back and let's just see what the width and height is at. 515 by 413. I'll just say 515. Width equals 515, and height equals 413. All right, so we'll start with that. And let's put these in here so it's very clear what we're going to draw on. Now, we need to be able to store votes, right? We need and so we might as well create a new class for that. So let's create a class called vote, like that. And inside vote, I think we're going to put it in the constructor. So I'm going to type in PV to get me private. Then I'm going to type in VS for string, and I'm going to call it user ID. So user is going to get a vote. Whoops, I wanted to do that. And then I want to have another string after this, which is going to be the vote itself. It's going to be like the number 1, 2, or 3, or something along those lines. Okay. And I said I wanted these private, but I think I want them public. Is what I think I want.
If I recall correctly, the inline syntax of the specification of private or public is so that you don't need to declare an actual field. This is automatically done by TypeScript. Yeah. And just a nice succinct way of issuing the same equivalency. Just with more succinct syntax. It's quite nice.
Yeah, great job, Rory, telling us what that is. SQL Mr. Magoo says you could do a little image in the code that reminds you what context is. Oh, really? I guess I could.
He's suggesting you use the CodeRushed functionality of embedding an image, but I think maybe a template, tcontext, just to expand to the full version or something similar.
Hey, I like that idea. Handy. Let's do that. So let's copy that to the clipboard. Let's show how this works. This is an awesome suggestion, Rory. I'm going to go into code templates, and actually I'm going to go right next to code templates is what I'm going to do. So next to code templates are the template name variables. And I don't have any for TypeScript, but I've got a bunch for JavaScript. And the TS built-ins are in there. These are all the built-in types, and I can add my own in here as well. I just need to use this variable name TS type for that. So I'm going to say my types that I use frequently, like this. Whoops, the variable name, sorry. It's going to be TS types. The name of it is going to be my types. That's what I thought I was typing in. My types. Hey, can you mark the time here, Rory? I actually and get a message to the hold on a second. I'm going to mark an edit point here. I just marked it as a CodeRushed issue at this point. When I create a new list, it should give focus here, right here.
Fair enough.
Get the devs to fix that. Okay, and then we're going to come in here, and I need to create something for this. So I think I'm going to see my variable name is going to be CTX for that type. And it's going to come out with that. So I don't have to type this in anymore.
So just for those of us who've maybe not seen this before, I say those of us, those of you in the chat room certainly who maybe haven't seen this before, CodeRushed comes with a kind of a template mechanism whereby we type a few characters in, hit space or tab in some cases depending on the configuration, and it expands to a larger selection of text. Now, in this particular case, what Mark's doing is he's creating a list of types and a list of phrases that he feels he will remember. Right, so our problem here was that we couldn't remember that the phrase was canvas rendering context 2D, which is obviously quite complicated. We did know that it was context, and a nice short form of that is CTX. Now, we might want to use this type in many different locations. So rather than just make a flat template that expands in one place, we can use it in conjunction with some other templates, things that create methods for us that return a type, or things that emit just the type, or that are a parameter of the type. And all of these templates will understand how to use this collected list that we're creating here. Granted, it's only one item for now. So if Mark returns to the code, we'll be able to type, for example, I think it's mctx to create a method that returns and even now I can't remember the full name of it, but it will be the proper phrasing, and we won't have to worry about exactly what that is, the canvas rendering context 2D.
So let's do that to show that working. So if we were here, for example, I'll copy that to the clipboard so I don't have to type that in again. I wanted that variable type context. I just type in V for variable, CTX, and then I would hit the space bar, and then I would type in the name of the variable. And that's it. Right? So now if I want a function that returns a context, I would just type in FCTX, F for functions here inside of here.
Fair enough.
Now the one thing it's not doing is it's not sensing that it's in a class yet. This is a bug on my machine. It's not apparently in what we're shipping with. So, but that's what it looks like right there. So it will allow me to create that, create a function that returns it. I believe it's squiggly underlined because we're not returning anything. It's not actually, it doesn't have a return statement.
That's usually the case, yeah.
So now we can do that, right? And if I want to type reference to it, if I just want to, if I'm here and I don't remember what it is, I can type in CTX like that. And notice
Yep.
there, well, I was here and I did that, right? I already had a colon, but if I'm not there, I don't have a colon, I type in TCTX, it's going to put the
CodeRushed
colon
is
for
nice
me.
enough to sort that out for you. So a lot of the time, CodeRushed is sorting out your syntax for you so that you don't have to worry, spend your cognitive coins, so to speak, on that kind of exercise and just work on the whole problem of, well, what is your business case here?
Yeah. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to C# Fritz at the ASP.NET booth at Ignite. Hey guys, we are, Roy, why don't you tell them what we're doing right now?
Okay, so what we're doing is we're taking some previously existing code, which was doing all kinds of rendering on overlays, and we're going to build ourselves a poll facility so that we can ask our chat room a question, have them all vote on the their preferred answer to the poll, and then we're going to see the results come in real time, adjusting a little chart on the screen. So it's all going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. All right, so we're creating we've created the vote class up here in TypeScript. So this is all TypeScript here. Right here, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create a new class function, and we're going to vote, I think is what it's going to be. This is going to take in a user ID and a vote, like this.
Okay.
And we need to do a couple things, though. We need to make sure that you can't vote twice. So we're going to need, and my quiz, I think, is going to have an array of votes. Is what I think it's going to have. I believe if I type in VA dot, oh, you know what I want to do? Do I have the ability to right-click this and add type to templates? I bet it's not here yet because we're in TypeScript. All right, let's go back in and let's add one for votes as well. We're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to come in here, switch the language, wait, click there, switch the language over to JavaScript, go to my types, and I'm going to add a new one for vote, like that. Okay, and then I want to come down here, and I want in my quiz somewhere, I think I want to have a variable of type array, an array of votes. So I'm going to type in va.v like that. And oh, v is for void. I'm going to have to change that. It's already taken for void. And let's see what we want to do with that. Whoops, not CSS, JavaScript, my types. Change it to VT. Save a couple characters. All right. So then we'll come in here and we'll say VAVT like this, and now it gives us our variable, and I'm just going to call this votes. So that's my array of votes right there. Now I've never worked with generic arrays yet in TypeScript, so we are about to learn something new here. But right here we're going to say votes dot. Do we have like an add call? I'm not seeing anything.
Don't we have a push still with arrays? Is that how we did this?
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe they might give me something extra exciting, is what I thought they might be doing here, but I don't see that happening. So TBT like that should give me vote, new vote of, and then pass in user ID and vote. Like that. So that's going to add one, I think. Is it or not? This dot votes. Maybe that's why I didn't have any my IntelliSense there. What do we got here? Yeah, it looks like pushes. I bet push is in there. Yep. So it's just we're just going to push that in there. So what we need to do is check to see if it's already in there. Do we have an index of? Let's do. Oh, you know what I want to do is I want to do this instead. I think I want to do if. I want to have another call called change vote, I think.
I was going to say, because if we have maybe something that's keyed off the user ID, then we can just accept as many votes as we like, but it would change your previous vote to whatever your new value was.
Yeah.
So maybe before the end of the poll closes, we can just allow you to shift around and change your mind a little bit.
So I'm going to say this.getVote. Whoops. This.getVote. So we're going to add a new function in here to get the vote, and we're going to pass in user ID, like that. And then we're going to say if existing vote, then we're going to say existing vote dot vote equals the new vote. Okay? Otherwise, we're going to add a new vote to it like that. And then we just have to create our get vote call, right, like that. Okay. So let's declare that function, get vote, and we are going, there's our user ID. And now what we want to do is go through our votes. I'm going to do a for each on those, I think. and for each vote, and then we want to say if vote, what parens here, if vote dot user ID equals user ID, then we want to return that vote.
Yeah.
Can I return it here though? Wait, hold on. I think I can't because I'm in this function right here. I think I need to change this. I need to do, I'm not familiar with the right way to do this.
Have we got alternatives to for each? Because perhaps there is a sort of a select facility of some kind.
Yeah, there might be. C# Fritz says, why Bitcoins? Maybe Mark coins? Because I got free access to, well,
you
not
saw
free.
some shiny.
I got some shiny. I have access to it. If somebody out there can render me some Mark coins or some CodeRushed coins, by all means, I'll take those instead. But these were quick and easy and fast to do.
And how many frames do we have on these particular set?
About 200, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a reasonable. That's a reasonable set. I'm going to do a for loop because I know the answer out of this one right here with the for loop. I can get myself out of this. So votes.length with the for loop like this, right? Is that going to have a length property in there? Oh, this.votes.length, right? Yep, it's there. Okay, and then we're going to say VVT for a variable of type vote. We'll call it this vote, or is equal to this.votes of I, like that.
Yep.
And then we're going to say if this vote dot, and we've got pretty much the rest of this right there. It's equal to user ID. Now we can return and get out of here safely. Yeah, I haven't quite mastered that TypeScript /JavaScript, you know, more efficient way of getting out yet. So you can see I'm kind of relying on older school techniques to solve this problem. All right, so if this user ID is equal to that user ID, then we're going to return this vote. And otherwise, we're going to return null. And this is not going to return any. It's going to return of type TB.
That's a nice function.
Yeah, it's a nice function. I totally agree. By the way, kids, if you're watching over there at the ASP.NET booth at Ignite, that piece that just came up was driven by one of our viewers through the chat room. So if you actually bring this up in the chat room, you can actually drive the scenes that we're running here and make Mr. Announcer guy say things like what was just said. That's a nice function. That came from the chat room, not from anybody running the show, which is one of the things I really like about this. So, okay, so there's our get vote. Get vote seems to work to me.
That looks good, yeah.
Seems to work based on my review of it. Back here in vote, we're checking to see if it's existing. Then we're going to change it over. Cool. Otherwise, we're going to add it. Now, next, we need to draw. And
yes.
We also need to, in our constructor, though, we need a couple things. We need, I think we need a number. So VN is a variable of type number, and that's the number of options, the number of choices. Num choices is what's coming in here. And then I think we need the strings of those choices is what I think we need. So I'll type in VS for a string, a variable type string, and I want that to be I guess we'll call this opt1, like that. And then we'll keep doing this, opt2 message or opt2 text, whatever like that. And again, we'll keep doing this, opt3. And whoops, VS. And notice it's adding the comma for me too. Isn't that nice and helpful? And we'll do opt4. So at least for now, we'll have up to 4. And then we'll play with this later, maybe adding more abilities to have more later. So this is going to tell us how many choices, and these are going to be the choices. And then I think we need a main question. So that's going to be a variable right here. So VS first question or main question, whatever that is.
So Mark, could we potentially just pass, obviously the main question, yes, but maybe just as well as suggesting here an array of string options. That way we don't have to specify them individually as, and in fact we can take the length of that array as our num choices.
Let's do that. Let's totally do that. And let's pass it in as a, so let's call this, we'll call this our choices, like that. And that's going to be a type that's an array of string, like that.
Yeah.
Okay, did you see that, guys? How much I just saved right there? Let me show you this one more time. TA.s. Type that's an array
4 characters.
of string, and none of them involve the shift key. And I
Didn't involve the shift, so that would have been the shift plus the colon plus the space. 5 for the array, shifted angle brackets.
It's a whole mess I avoided.
Mess of
All
stuff
right,
in there.
so now I've got my choices. Let's make. I think we're going to make these all private right here. So that's private. That's
Probably,
private.
do we need the num choices now? Because we can just get the length of the array.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. Good idea. Let's do that. Let's get the length of the array. I like it. Wilbert is saying array, but I think that was his comment from before, right? That you picked up on. Nice. It's so funny because I wasn't looking in the chat room. I was listening to you, and I thought Will Bennett said it as eloquently as you did, but he actually said it more clearly and with fewer words. Array.
I used my psychic link with Will to determine exactly how he would have phrased it.
Right. Okay. So now for drawing. So now in the draw part right here. So I'm doing a lot of stuff here without actually testing yet, and I'm like a little bit like, well, all right. So we need something called fill rect. I think. Well, there's my fill rect. Let's start popping in the numbers here. Let's make these constants, I think is what I want to do. So let's do this. If I want a constant in CodeRushed, I type in Q and then N for number. So Q is constant, N is for number, and then I'm going to say, I'll just call this X, I think is what I'll call this. And
so we're using quite a few templates as we move along here, and one of the main reasons that this is a great idea is because these are more or less the same templates that we use in C# or in VB and things like that. So when you're learning a concept, you can just use the CodeRushed template you're kind of familiar with already, and it will show you the syntax for the language you're sitting in at the moment. So you don't really have to worry about all that ceremony so much.
Yeah, and I am kind of, in fairness, these templates are released, but I have not documented these yet. They just were released a couple days ago. I owe you a blog post on this showing how to do these, but they are based on the same templates that we're already using in CodeRushed inside C# and in VB. So they're based on those templates, those shortcuts, which took probably easily 12 years of development to refine and hone to this kind of the tersest way of writing code. What was I going to say on that though? There's something else. But I'm also in here in these sessions when I'm using them, I try to call them out. So if you've got CodeRushed, you've got a sense of what magic just unfolded. So I'm going to say I'm just going to fill all these in here. There's my width right there, and there's my height right there, and so there's my fill rect call, and I think I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, oh, the other thing we need to do is we need a start time, is what we need. And so I'm going to do, what the heck, I guess we'll do performance.now. So we'll say we need a date, so I think it's VD8, like that, for a variable that's of type date. And I'm going to say start time. And the reason for this is because I want the quiz to last for like 1 minute or some duration of time that makes sense. And you've got 1 minute to vote.
You don't need to explicitly close it afterwards. It will just stop receiving votes and counting them.
Yeah, and I think I've got a template called PFN for performance now. Yeah, so I've got that. So there's my start time. That's going to be stored in milliseconds. I don't want this to be local here, though. I want it to declare it. So why is my declare the property? There we go. Why did it take any? Let's do that. Oh, I see why. Because I had a syntax error. There. Okay, so that's now what it looks like. So there's my start time. So at some point, the quiz expires, and we need to remove it. It needs to remove itself.
Got another question from Will. Actually, isn't the performance a number rather than a date?
Oh, geez, you're right.
Performance.now.
You're right. You're right. In fact, that's what this red squiggly line is there. So you're right. Yeah. So it's not a date. You're right. It's a number, and it's the number of milliseconds. And so we can subtract. We can do another call to performance now. Subtract milliseconds. See how much time has gone by. So my thoughts are something like this. I think that we need to. I'm feeling a global variable coming up here of type quiz. That's what I'm feeling.
Okay.
So because there's only going to be one of these out here. It's essentially a singleton.
Yeah, one active quiz at any given time, and obviously when it finishes, we could null it out if we want to and determine it's not there, or just at least have the quiz set to ended.
That's
so
what
I'm determine that.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do right now. And I'm going to when I call class.quiz, I'm going to set this singleton up here equal to this, like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also, I think in my draw call, I'm going to check to see how much time has passed. And if 60 seconds have passed, I'm going to start fading it out. Or for now, at very least, I'll just like remove it. So I'll say we'll create a variable here called maybe just now. And then say, so I want to do a number L and N. Sorry, let me do this in slow motion. L plus N like that. We'll do a let declaration of type number. And so I'm going to say, we're going to say seconds passed is equal to this dot start time. Actually, we want to say now minus this dot start time. We want all of that in parens and divide that by 1,000.
Yes.
And then I want to say if seconds passed, whoops, hold on. If seconds passed is greater than 60, actually for now let's say 10 seconds. Then what I want to do is we're going to return and get out.
So no more drawing if we've exceeded 10 seconds.
Yeah, and then the only other thing I need in here is like some sort of fill style right here. I'm going to say fill style, and let's go to my image editor, and let's grab maybe this as our fill style for now, and we'll maybe play with that later and change it. But we'll grab that now, and do that. And so as a test, the only thing that's missing now, so this is like, usually I do a little more testing between all of these, but because of the nature of what we're doing, it's a little harder to do. But as a test, what I want to do is when that command comes in, let's go find it, execute command. Why don't I see that here? That's weird. I'm pretty sure it's in here. There it is, execute command. Why didn't I find that?
Execute command is in the middle drop-down, or was briefly.
Oh, what?
Oh, it's all updating.
There it is, right there.
Back there now.
There it is. Okay, gotcha. Oh, the middle one is locals, I guess. I didn't notice that. Okay, interesting. All right, so there's execute command. At least I think the one on the right is locals, so it says now here. So let's see. Execute command quiz. Start quiz. Yeah. I want to come in here and I just want to say new quiz, like this, and I want to say, well, it doesn't really matter what I pass in because I'm not using any of this right now. Null, let's do that, and I think that's it. Main questions is null. And that should give me a rectangle on the side when we type in quiz. So now what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to another scene, come back over, do a refresh, and if there's no bugs after, what, 20 minutes of coding, when we type in quiz, bang quiz, like this, starting quiz, that seems to work, but I didn't get a draw. Oh, I know why. Hold on. Not a bug so much as we forgot to do one thing. We need to get up into our draw function. So let's go get up into that. Don't I have it? It's an update screen. There it is. So there's update screen. From here, we need to basically check to see, we need to draw the quiz. And I think I'm going to draw the quiz on top of everything else. It's going to be the highest Z order. So I'm going to say if quiz, like this, then quiz.draw.
Sounds good.
And we're going to pass in my context. Like that. And now, is that enough? That looks like it's enough. So now let's switch again to another scene, come back over, and I'm going to type in the quiz again. And we'll take a look at that, see if that works. Well, then it says missing C#. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Will. Starting the quiz. Hey, look, we've got it. It's drawing over.
There we go.
And in 10 seconds, it should go away. If everything's working the way it should, there, it went away. Nice.
Hey, success.
That's not bad. So that's pretty good, right? No apparently huge flaws and mistakes in there. So next, we need to handle the voting.
Okay.
Well, or we need to parse it and kind of build the pieces. This is going to take a little more time, and I'm noticing, Rory, that I should
You know what time it is?
let Mr. Announcer Guy in to ask this question. It's time for
CodeRushed giveaway.
It's time for CodeRushed giveaway. Will then is typing in quiz, draw my
nullable quiz, draw
context. Let me just check what he's talking about
you
now.
typed in, isn't it? Near enough.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, it's up in here. Is the question that? That's not that. What you're talking about. Only works in C# is what he's talking about. I'm not sure what you're talking about. But okay. What do you think, Rory? You think you got something on that?
I'm looking at the question mark because that's the syntax for a nullable in VB, but in C#, does it not also? It's a nullable of T, and it gives you the T if it happens to be null, and only cause draw on it if it is a something.
I see what he's doing. Yes. That's what he's talking about. It's like a.
But then he corrects, and it's a C#
I got you.
feature rather than TypeScript.
No, I'm totally with you. I got where you were going with that. All right. So today's winner is, and to remind you, we're playing for today.
It's a brand new car.
No, it's not a brand new car. Today we're playing for a copy of
CodeRushed.
That's right, CodeRushed. And today's winner is
Tony Banana 4K.
Tony Banana 4K. You are today's winner.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So all of those little things we've been showing you with CodeRushed, they mount up hugely over time, and of course multiple languages and feature set all across the board. You just want a copy of CodeRushed.
Yeah, nice. All right, congratulations. I'll DM you using the whispering. I don't know how to say this. Every time I say this, it's weird when I talk about how I'm going to do this. I'll contact you on Twitch via their DM whisper service. Still, I can't do it with like fewer than 1,000 effing words. And tell you, give you instructions.
Contact you.
We'll contact you.
We confirm things, and you get a prize.
You get a prize. It goes like that. And with that, Roy, I know it's time for you to go. I'm going to keep going here, though, without
I'm kind of jealous because this is really going places. I think this is going to be really good.
So I don't know.
I look forward to seeing how it goes.
I don't know. Well, thank you, Roy, and we'll see you tomorrow, right? Thursday. All right. See you tomorrow.
Yep.
All right. So let's see. Let's go do the next thing. And we feel so quiet all of a sudden out here with Rory gone. But we'll keep going here. We're going to we need to do two kind of, not for me at least, non-intuitive. We'll have to figure them out kinds of things. One is we need to draw the results. The other thing that we need to do, let me put just a marker in here because we need to definitely come back to this. The other thing we need to do is here, we need to kind of build the array from the params that come in. And I've got this comment right up here that says params are expected to be a form of something like this. So this is the command, and then this is the question. So it'll be a command followed by a question, followed by these pieces. So I need to parse strings is essentially what I need to do. And so let's see. I think I want to do. I think I want to call this the quiz command or something like that. Quiz CMD. Maybe I'll just call it CMD for now. And I think the first thing I want to do is grab that question. And so let's do that. So I think is there in a string? It looks like there is. There's an index of. Do we have a substring? We do. We have substr as well. So this is very cool. So, by the way, if you were just sitting here watching me, you're like, wait, Mark's not an expert in JavaScript or TypeScript, and the answer is absolutely correct. I'm learning this right now in front of you, and so we're going through this and learning how to do this. So we want to do an index of, and I want to find that question mark, because even though it's natural to put that question mark, to end a question with a question mark, because that's natural. I want to use that as my delimiter as well. and then have a space here. So I'm going to look for that question mark is what I'm going to do. And I guess I could go even further to say a question mark space. And we could get that out. And so we need a variable type number here. And this is going to be our index, question index, I guess maybe I should call it. I'm a little worried about that longer name, but we'll go ahead and do it for now. So there's our question index. That's our number, and it's a number that's equal to that call. Then it goes something like this. If question index is greater than or greater than 0, I can usually say greater than or equal to, yeah, I guess, fair enough, because it could be a totally empty question. Oh, Will Bennett says, Simon Gearing says, evening all. I'm not sure, Simon, if you're coming in or going. I think you're coming in, Simon. Good to see you. Glad to have you here. Will Bennett suggesting put a comma after the question. You should be able to just do a split call. You know, I had not considered that, but I'm feeling it like that. Yeah, my intention was to do split on what was remaining, but I'm kind of feeling this. It puts a little more burden on the quiz master, the person who's asking the question, who right now, by the way, is not identified. And so we should probably throw that in there as well as a pass-in user ID. And I'll check that down here so that we can only have Rory or myself starting quizzes. TS right there, get a string. Okay, well, Simon Gearing says he's arriving, not been able to make the live streams, but have been keeping up on the VODs. Well, thank you very much for watching this, Simon. That's great feedback. It sounds like maybe we're doing something that's useful over here. That's kind of my goal. That's what I want to do. And so let's see. I got my question index. If it's greater than or equal to 0, then I can find my question out of the front of there. But actually, I think we're gonna do this instead. We're gonna do that. And so let's do that. We're gonna say command.split. I'm liking it better. Makes me happier. Split, and that is going to returns them as just a straight old array. Can I get that as a generic array? I'm not sure if I can. My guess is it's going to look like something like this. It's going to be, I think the declaration is going to look like that. And this is going to be lines, I think is what I'll call this. Why is that failing? What's going on here? I think I've got syntax wrong here for array. I thought that was how I did that. Maybe it's just that. Guess that's it. Okay. Let's see. I want to look at split one more time. Just look at its declaration. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I was looking on the left to find it. Yeah, it's a string array. So it's interesting. I'm trying. I feel like this should be legal syntax right there. Is he going to mark it as an error? Yeah, it doesn't like it. All right, so we're going to undo it. So we'll just do it that. So those are our lines right there. And Simon Gearing says I can do an array of string. So let's see if I can do that here. So we're going to say ta.s, get that array of string, and lines of that type right there. See if that'll do that conversion for me automatically. But I don't understand. Yeah, I'm not getting it. I think it said you're missing the let. All right, let's try that. That was it? Wow. Okay, cool. Nice. So there's that piece right there. I'm going to need to get another one here. I think there's a way. Let's see here. What's going on here? Splice removes an element and returning the deleted elements. I don't want that. I want a way to copy a portion of this. Join filter for each index up. Let's see here. Sum? No. Slice. That's what I bet I want. Returns a section of the array. Nice. Okay, so I want to do a slice. And beginning specified in the portion of the array. I want to grab the one there, and that's going to be my the arguments that I pass in right here. And then the first one is going to be lines of 0, I think. And I think the code is as simple as that for a new quiz. And if that's the case, then we can verify that. Let's go up into our draw function. And so now we've filled the rec. Let's draw some text here. Context dot, what is it? String, text align, struct text. Fill text is what I want. The text is going to be my public property, which is main question, right there. And let's go ahead and just say X and Y, like that. And I think I have to change fill style to white or something else, because otherwise it's going to use that same fill style as before. So there's that. Why do I have a problem here? Cannot find main question. Oh, this dot main question. It's one of the things I love about TypeScript is these on-the-fly errors. That's why we're able to do this. So now we're going to at least see the main question. So now if we come over, switch scenes, come back to refresh, if we haven't created any problems, and I type in quiz, this is working, comma 1, comma 2, like that, I get a starting quiz back, and I think I see this is working right up in here. It looks like it's hiding the mouse, but it was right up in that area there. So cool. So that is, I guess two things are kind of interesting. One is it was hiding the mouse, and I'm like, wait, I want the mouse on top, so I'm going to have to make some changes to that later if I can do that, as far as where that overlay goes. I may have to find another way to point to things when it's up there. But so that is working. I need to change the font height of this, and guess what? I totally forget how to do this. So let's go do this. We're going to say JS context font height. Canvas.font. There it is, right there. That's the code we want. We want something that looks like this. I said canvas.font, but it was context.font. So we're going to do that. And, oops, lost a semicolon there. And that should make it bigger. And I think also when we draw that, I think we're going to have some sort of indent up here. So I'm going to create a constant that's our margin and make it like 10. And then I'm going to come down here and say the main question, I'm going to say X plus margin and Y plus margin. So kind of moving that down a little bit. With that said, let's see, Simon Gearing says, we'll have to introduce you to TS-lint. Next, you've said this is the second time you've said it, so now I've got another voice in my head that says, Simon Gearing says, take a look at TS-lint. So you get all that coding time checking goodness. Okay, got it. I don't think I'm going to have time to do it today. I've got a ton of stuff I got to do after this. But it's duly noted that I should be doing this. All right. So let's see. We've got that. I want to switch. I think I want to switch streams, so I have enough to do this. Let's just do that. Switch over. Come back. Start up a new quiz. Quiz. I'm typing in, and I should actually have this on the clipboard. Here we go. It says, no, that is a big thing, is you need a bunch of tooling, is what it sounds like. Okay. So starting the quiz, and there we go. What do you want to be? So not bad. It looks like we have a couple things. I think I want to bring this up higher. So Solution Explorer. The other thing is it looks like the text is centered, and we have to do some vertical text alignment on this. So let's look at that. Let's text on the vertical text align, text baseline property. That's what we want. And I bet we're in middle, and we want top. So we're going to grab that bit of code right there and put this in over here. Kind of working our way, moving it down, getting it right where we want it. I just personally am wanting to clean up all of the double quotes to single quotes because I'm liking single quotes a lot more because they don't require shift keys when I press them, even though paradoxically what I'm saying seems to require more keystrokes. If I see them all one way, it makes me happier. So let's do a refresh again, come back again, load it back up. Let's bring up the quiz. I'm just going to copy that and pop it in there. And there we go, much better. What do you want to be? So there's our quiz question is up. So it's going to support, right now I'm not going to do any word wrapping on that, and it goes away after 10 seconds. The position of it looked pretty good. I'll bring it up one more time. And change the question a bit. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's I want to block all the way the Solutions Explorer. I want to move it over to the left a bit. Let's fix those things, the positioning of that right now. So let's see, the Y, I want to move it up. I think it's feeling like let's go with about 20 at least. The left, I think wants to go over maybe 10. The height, I'm going to add 20 to it as well. So we're going to get up to 33. And let's just try that and see how we're doing. So switch over to another one, refresh, start the quiz again. By the way, Simon, the voting is going to be just the number 2 is what's going to get you in. That's how it's going to be for you. But I have a feeling that that was more for me right there. Here we go. Let's do the quiz again. What do you want to be? Positioning is looking better, looking better. I'm going to move it over to the right, like 3 pixels and up 2. So let's do that. Move to the right 3, up 2 pixels, so we're at 88. Let's do another refresh. Get the question in again. Here it comes. That positioning is looking pretty good. Pretty good. I think I want to move it right 1, subtract 2 from the height, and subtract 2 from the width. So let's do that. So we're going to say 4, 2 from here, 2 from here. And did I say, wait, did I do the wrong one? I should move to the right one. I don't know if I said up or down. I think I was good with that. I don't remember that issue. Let's go do that. And bring up the vote. Yeah, it's going to be exactly that, Simon. It's going to be just bang 2. I'm even going to make it so that if a quiz is open, that if you just type the number 2 and hit enter, either in the chat room or privately to Mr. Announcer Bot or Mr. Announcer Guy, whoever it is, it's going to be like, I gotcha. Your vote's going to count. All right, that's feeling pretty good. I want to get on the right side, I want to get this over here to line up right over here. So I want to just subtract, like, I think another 2 from that width. Let's try 11 here. 511, switch, setting up the quiz. I'm going to start the quiz, send it in. And I think we're down to subtracting 1 from it, and we're lined up. That feels pretty good to me. Oh, I didn't know that. Simon just says, would recommend an alias of bang vote X, since that is very common across Twitch. Really? Fine, absolutely, we'll do that. Let me make a note of that so that we can support that as well, and we don't forget that. Okay, cool. Yeah, but I also am thinking, hey, look, if you just push, if we're giving you number choices and you put in the number out of nowhere, it's going to vote. And I also like the idea of of, I really like the idea of having a, allowing both a private way to vote if you don't want to make it public and a public way. So we're going to do that. Some places let you vote the name of the choice. I'm going to let people do that as well. I really want it to be like if the name of the choice is simple and we spot that in your response and we can verify that that's it, you just typed in that choice, then we're going to do that. And the choice others, the number, and some let you pick either. Yeah, I'm going to go with either. That's where we're moving towards. So, okay, so good. We've got that piece done. The next thing we need to do is we need to list out the choices. So let's go up here and let's list out the choices. That's the next thing. Presumably, those are all coming in here. And I think what I want to do next, so there's the question. I think we need to say, hold on. I want another constant here. We're going to say question font size, like that. And that's equal to 30. Then I want to take this, and I think I can just do that. Is TypeScript going to let me do that? Implicit conversion to a string, it looks like it will. And then I want to be able to come down here and say var result. So this is like this is not exciting code that I'm about to write here. Result is an int, or sorry, not an int, number, and it is equal to. Sorry, I wanted to say result top. That's what I wanted to say here, and that's going to be equal to question font size plus y. Let's swap the order of these. Y plus that. Okay, and so that's my result top, and result. I either need to work with the height or the bottom. I'm going to probably say the height. That's equal to. It's just going to be the same as height minus question font size. And I think there's probably going to be a margin in here as well, which is going to be a vertical result margin. Yeah, we have to do some kind of math here. We have to visualize this is what we have to do. So vertical result margin is going to be, let's just say that it's equal to 10 for now. So result top is equal to that. And then it's going to be this minus 2 times that, because I'm expecting that margin to be, I can't rename it? Oh, interesting. Whoops. I only pasted part of it. 2 of those. So I want the margin, the top and the bottom. And then we need to figure out how much space between the results. One other thing we can do, let's try that. Let's do one other thing. Let's come back to mark that and come back to that. Let's go find execute command again here. And right here, I want to say, I want to take this and I want to make this equal to a var right here. So that's going to be an array of strings, we think. This is going to be, sorry, hold on. I totally pasted the thing I wanted in the wrong place. Hold on. This is going to be equal. Oh, did I really copy the other piece on the clipboard? Okay, there we go. All right. So, and this variable is going to be our answers. And that's an array of string equal to that. And then I want to say if answers.length is less than 2, there's no choices, then that's what I'm going to call an error, and we're not going to create a quiz here. What instead I'm going to do is I'm going to call chat must have at least two answers, like that. And then we're going to pass in answers right there. And I think that's, I just wanted to put that in there. Let's test that piece right there. See if we're okay. Bennett's asking use .measure text. Oh, I don't think I have to do measure text if I know the actual font size. My understanding is that 30px, that's the height of the line from top to bottom, is what I believe it is. Bennett's also asking choices. I think that has to do with what we were just doing before. I think he's saying change the name to choices, and I think that's a good suggestion. We'll do that. Let's pop in the quiz again with, I'm going to ask the quiz question with only one answer. And must have at least 2 answers. Good. So that, wait, but it did, oh, hold on, we need to return. We need to get out of here. So that piece is missing there, and let's rename this to choices. Quizzes must have this. Okay, good. Let's jump back up over here. So now we're going to have some choices, and now what we need to do is figure out how much space is occupied by each choice. And I want them evenly spaced so it looks nice no matter what. So if there are 2 choices, we kind of need to figure out the available space, figure out what a margin space is needed, and then divide, and that's our height. And those are going to be the heights of those bars that we're going to create. So let's go in here, and I'm just going to change both of these over here to let as well. Let's say we need a number that is going to be available height. Well, we've got that already. We've got result height. The result height, I'm already subtracting the result margin, which is we're adding to the font size above and the font size below, so we're coming in there. So that's our total height. So we can start at the top and end at the bottom. We don't have to add any additional margins in there. So next what we need to do is we need to, there's going to be another margin, which is going to be our vertical between result margin, like that. I'm going to set it also to 10 for now, but we might change this. Actually, I'm going to change it to 20, I think. So that's our between result margin. And we now need to subtract that. And so I need 2 things. I need to create a variable called available bar height, which is going to be the total height of all of those. And that's going to be equal to my result height minus my choices dot length minus 1, and all of that times my vertical between result margin. So what that's going to do is that's going to, the number of choices I have, if I have 2, I'm going to subtract 1 from that, so I have 1. That means I have 1 margin, and I have to subtract that 1 inner margin. I've got a better name for this. Can't rename, I can rename that. Vertical inner margin. Okay, so that's going to go between the choices vertically. That's that margin there. So now my total available bar height, now I know how much space I have for bars, which means my bar height is going to be equal to result height divided by this .choices.length, I believe. And if that's the case, then now we can start drawing our bars. And we have our bar height, and so let's do that. Let's just draw a couple bars out here. So I'm going to create, should I do a for each? I think it's safe enough for me to do a for each on this. Let's come out here, let's create a variable called y_top or bar top, like this. And let's set that equal to results top. You know what, let's do this instead. We're going to just do that, because that's where we need it. And then what we're going to come down here is we're going to say bar top And at some point we're going to say plus equals bar height. That's going to be the end of the thing we do. And up here is where we're going to draw. We essentially need a context.fillRect here. And let's change, the fill size has been changed to white, so we're just going to see some white bars. And we also need to add the vertical inner margin, like that. And the Y position is going to be this. I guess I'll keep the X over there. Now let's say create a bar. Let's say this can be a constant, I think, bar left. And that's going to be equal to, I don't know, let's say 10. And granted, I still don't have the text of the bars here yet. And I really want to add that above, so I'm going to have to change this math. But we're getting closer. So we're going to say that's indented by 10. The width is going to be based on the votes, but I'm not going to do anything on that yet. I'll make these both 100. And this is going to be bar height right here. Bar height. So I just want to check right now the dividing up and see if it works based on the number of choices that I give. And I think that's it. That's going to draw a bunch of white bars. So let's refresh. And so far we've had a lot of luck. We haven't created anything. Hold on a second. Wait, what's going on here? Available bar height is this. Bar height. Oh, it looks like I used the wrong variable. I would call that a bug. All right, let's refresh again. Okay, shouldn't the left be X is the question here, if that's what we're talking about. And I am saying no because I want the bar to start an indented amount in. I want it to indent itself in, is what I want it to do, if that's what we're talking about. And I think that's what you're talking about, Will. Okay, so let's grab our quiz question again. What you want to be, 1 or 2, and pop it in, and we have a fail. I would call that a pretty clear failure. Well, let's get some diagnostics. Main question plus choices, choice count, plus this dot choices dot length. See what happens there. Okay, and it just drew on the left over the code. Oh. That's exactly what you were suggesting. I didn't see that. That's our problem. Okay, so it looks like maybe it was working, and we don't need this code here. That's what you were talking about, X plus. Sorry, X plus 10. I see, I've got you. Good job, Will, spotting that. Totally appreciate that so much.
Will Bennett rocks.
All right, let's grab the quiz question again. We'll paste that in. And what do you want to be? Is it still drawing over the code? Oh, did I forget to refresh? I think I forgot to refresh. Let's do that. And one more time, bringing up the quiz. Take that, Simon Gearing. Well, we all know that
Simon Gearing rocks.
Simon Gearing also rocks. And hey, take a look. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I want to add a little bit more to that top vertical result margin. I think what I want to do is I want to have a top margin and a bottom margin is what I want to do. So let's do that. Let's get our top margin here, and let's get a bottom margin as well. Like that, and my top margin is going to be 20, I think. And my bottom margin is going to be here. I'll need to reference it here. Minus bottom margin like that. And let's come back over here, grab that quiz command, paste it in, and yep, let's change the scene to refresh one more time. And that feels a little bit better. We still need to make room for the answers, so we'll get that next. And then we need to get colors. Simon Gearing says, this is giving me disturbing memories of writing VB6 resize code back in the dawn of time. Okay, well, I'm sorry about that, Simon. I don't see a better way out of this, though. Right? Writing this kind of code, it always looks kind of like this. There's not an easier way to say, you know, it's almost like you want a graphical UI for this code, where I say, I divide my pieces up evenly, right? It seems like we need a new graphical language to represent this kind of code. Maybe need is too strong of a word there. Maybe we don't need that graphical language, but a graphical language where I can just lay things out and say, here's how I want this to be, and it says, okay, and then draws it all for me. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we've got that. Now we need to add the element pieces themselves. And so what I want to do is I want to come in here and I want to say question answer size or choice size. Maybe just choice size. Sorry, choice font size. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, and let's make it half that size. We'll make it 15. Choice font size there. And we're going to have a line of code that looks like this. A little later on, we'll put that down in our loop. Put it down here, there. And now that we know our font size, we can now use this as well, because we're going to need that in determining our available height right here. So available height is this. That's the bar height. This is actually no longer the bar height. This is going to be, I'm going to do two things here. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to redefine bar height down below here in a second. And up here, I'm going to change this to be total choice height, or choice height. Choice total height, choice height. Choice height is what I think I'm going to do. And so we're going to add that there. The bar height is equal to choice height minus the choice font size. And so there's my bar height right there. And the bar top is got to be bar top plus the choice font size is where we're going to actually start drawing it. And then right up here, we're going to say context dot fill text, I think. And we're going to pass in x plus just x, I think. We'll start it at x and see how that works. Bar top. And oops, the text is what I need first. And the text is going to be item.choice. Right? Isn't that what it is? Oh, it's just item. Is that right? Choices. The choices are strings. Yeah, it's the item. Okay, and our top, and I think that's it. That's all I need. Okay. So there's my fill text call, followed by fill rect. It's all still in white. We've got to fix the color issue. It feels like it might work. It's a good shot. Simon Gearing says, Simon says it's JS, so by definition there's probably an NPM package for it. That's a joke, says Simon. Thank you for the declaring that it's a joke, because I'm challenged in this area if it's not obvious. Okay, let me just adjust this a bit right there so it lines up. And then let's do that quiz, get that quiz out there, put in that, copy that to the clipboard, paste it in. All right, not bad. Little voice in my head is saying, hey, Will Bennett said use measure text. So I'm about to throw that out there. Let's see what happens on that. We're going to do that. And so instead of using the font size to figure that out, we're going to, well, I'm going to do a couple things actually. I want to drop this to, I'm going to make this 20 at least. Let's refresh that. I just want to see what that gets me if I want to watch, take a look at that. Here it comes again. I think I just want to add a margin to the bottom of this. And I'm going to kind of keep that where it is. I'm going to increase the font size just a little bit more. But I want to do margin of let's do something like this. We're going to call this choice text bar margin. Oops. I'll add the word margin here in a second. This is going to be, make it 10. And let's do this margin, like that. And then, so now we're going to be here, and the bar height is equal to choice height minus choice text bar margin. There's our fill text at the bar top, and then we're going to come down here and do this. And then that should all work. Let's try one more time. We don't want the text in the bar. No, I don't think I do. Well, I want it above the bar. That's a design-related question, and I'll explain why. I can do it in the bar, but so there's a couple things going on here. One of the guidelines of good design is the proximity guidelines, which say that something that is close to, let me do something else here. I'm going to change my on-screen time up here to 60 seconds so we can have it on screen and look at it. I'm going to do that. So we got it up for a minute. I'm also going to change white to black because we have a little more contrast there. And I'm going to put the quiz in. I'm going to refresh, bring the quiz in one more time. And I'll answer this question. We'll talk about this, why I chose to put it above. So there are, well, looks like the quiz didn't come up. Let's try again. There we go. Okay, so the question is, why not put them inside? And I can do that. In fact, one of the guidelines of good design is the proximity guideline, which says things that are closely related should be close together, if not on top of each other. And so I can certainly do that. The problem is that with the text is going to have a background that changes midway through. Okay? And we can do this, right? It's possible to do this, but that text changing midway through is it's a little harder to read. And so the other requirement that it has is that the background colors of these options have to be essentially low contrast against this background here. So if this background is light, these backgrounds have to the backgrounds of the quiz elements. Well, let me bring this back up again here. And the backgrounds of these quiz elements right here to the right of the mouse cursor, these backgrounds have to be light as well, so that we have high contrast and that we can read it. If I put them nearby, I still kind of satisfy the proximity guidelines, and it gives me the ability to greater freedom with regards to the choices for the colors. So the colors of the items can have a higher contrast against the background, which is kind of what I want. So this is kind of where I'm heading right now. So I think that's it. I'm noticing that I've made a couple tiny mistakes, and my rule of coding is if I notice myself making just a lapse of focus, I'm out, and I'm not going to code for a little bit. I'm going to take a break because I want to make sure it's only high quality stuff that we create. So with that, I want to say thanks to Rory. Will Bennett says you can also do stroke text to solve that. Maybe. No, I think stroke text draws an outline around the text. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. Yes. A better solution than stroke text is to draw a background behind the text that is that lowers the contrast, that darkens it or lowers the contrast in some way, or brightens the contrast, depending on your text color, whether it's bright or dark. Ultimately, for reading, we recognize symbols based on contrast between the foreground symbols and the background on the grayscale spectrum. So the color doesn't matter, it's what it resolves to on the grayscale. So the text has to be high contrast against the background, and the background really shouldn't be a pattern. And so if we draw text over a bar that's changing, then we're kind of increasing the burden on the user. Now, if we can increase the font size, that lowers the burden. It takes less mental effort to recognize the text. So, there's a number of things that we're balancing here. We might ultimately go in this direction that we're suggesting of drawing the text over. But if we do, we're going to be constrained by the colors. The colors of the bars are going to have to be low contrast against the background. So they'll have to be light in some way. Anyway, with that, I'm wrapping up the show. Congratulations. I think it was Tony Banana 4K on winning your copy of CodeRushed. Thanks to Rory for joining us. Thanks to Will Bennett, Simon Gearing, Mr. Magoo, everybody who's helped out in the chat room. We appreciate it so much. Also, thanks to everyone for not hacking into my bot by the end of the show. Now I'm able to, we did the show all the way through without that. Yeah, thanks so much, Simon. It's nice to see you live, by the way. And with that, I will say goodbye, and we'll see you tomorrow.